welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you are new here, my name is Heather Lewis and today we are back at it with another furniture flip. Now I think I've picked up a pattern here and I think you guys really like the one-day flips, so I just want to let you know right off the bat, I am starting a series for one-day flips and this is going to be the first official video for that series. Doing a one-day flip takes a lot of work. If you've ever flipped a piece of furniture before, you know that it usually is not a one-day process. And that is why it is 8 in the morning, we're starting early, and we are gonna get this dresser flipped in one day. Let's talk a little bit about this dresser. So I actually got this dresser from the Salvation Army for $75, which is more than I'm usually willing to pay. But this piece was solid wood and there weren't many options to choose from. So when I'm uploading every week, I've gotta have something to flip. So I caved and I picked this one. This dresser, like I said, is solid wood. As far as I can see, it doesn't have any maker's mark, but all of the drawers slide really well and the joints are good. Some of the imperfections are this top is pretty scratched up. There's also a really weird stain on the side, and I don't think I'd be able to cover that up without either sanding it down to raw wood or painting over it. There is also a hardware piece missing, but that's okay because I probably would have filled the hardware holes in anyways, and I am going to be changing out the hardware to modernize it a bit more. That's one of the easiest ways to modernize any piece of furniture. Now that you know a little bit more about this dresser, let's go ahead and get this hardware off so we can get started. Taking this hardware off, I'm also going to take the drawers out just so that it's easier for cleaning and everything else that we're going to be doing to this piece. Clean this piece, and I've got my white bucket here, and inside here I have warm water and white vinegar. I've noticed that this has really helped clean the piece off very well, collect dust, and also remove any slight odors that it may have. And with this just being an old dresser, you can't go wrong with that. I also really like to use Dawn dish soap and warm water, so if you have that laying around, that works as well. But it's super important to clean your pieces before you move on to sanding or painting, just because you want to have a clean surface before putting paint on and putting a new surface on. And as far as sanding goes, if you don't clean your pieces, then it's going to kind of rub all of the dirt deeper into the surface. So it's good to clean now. I like to do it right after I take the hardware off because there's usually a lot of dust under the hardware as well, and I don't want to miss that. I will say I don't focus too heavily on the inside of the pieces, not yet at least. I will do a little bit here, just so that, you know, like I said, it doesn't get into any of the paint, but because I am going to be sanding and it's in a garage, I like to really focus on that right before the customer comes to pick it up, just so that I know that it's in pristine condition before they take it home. You guys are gonna have to excuse my mess of a garage, but now that everything is cleaned down, I want to get started right away on filling in the existing hardware holes. This can take up to 2 rounds, each round taking a couple hours. for the wood filler to dry. Anytime I'm filling in hardware holes and painting right over them, I like to use this Drydex wood filler. I like that it goes on pink and it dries white, so it's very beginner friendly. I do think it definitely dries faster than any wood filler that I've used before. So if I am painting, this is definitely what I recommend. It's now a few hours later and this first layer of wood filler is now dry. So I'm gonna go ahead, get my circular sander out and sand back the excess wood filler here, but also give the drawers a scuff sand as well as the body of the dresser so that it is then ready for primer and paint. This is a super important step as well because you want your paint to be able to adhere to the dresser, so scuffing it up definitely helps with that. I am going to be using a 220 grit to do this and it should get the job done. I will say that I am going to go ahead and do a second layer of wood filler on these hardware holes just to make sure that it is perfectly level with the surface and you won't be able to see them once primer and paint goes on. I'm not going to show that second course of doing that because it's just the same exact process. Okay, so now that the wood filler is all sanded down and everything is wiped off, everything has had a good scuff sand, we can finally start applying primer and paint. First, we do have to do primer so that the paint will adhere to the surface better. And I am going to be using my Zinsser 123 primer. This is a great adhesion primer. And personally, I think that you get the most bang for your buck and it's very easy to apply and it dries fast, so it's great for beginners. It's been a little bit since I've pulled out my primer, so I'm gonna make sure to go ahead and stir it up. That's super important that it's always stirred before you ever use it. So it's only about an hour later and the primer is dry, so we can get started on painting. I'm gonna be painting in this bright white from Sherwin Williams. It's been a while since I've painted white, and not only am I missing it, but I'm really wanting to make this a fast and short sale. I'm flipping this in one day and I want it gone in a week. And personally, I have noticed that white sells very fast in my area, so as long as I don't price it way too high, it'll be gone pretty soon. I will say that painting a dresser white can take a few more coats than it typically would. I usually expect around 3 to 4 coats for full coverage, so this is what's gonna take the longest in this flip. It's 1 o'clock now, a little after 1, so I think we will have enough time to get all these coats on, as long as I am kind of watching the clock and making sure to get back out here after the coat is dry. While the last coat of paint is drying and waiting for top coat, I'm going to show you guys the knobs. So this is the knobs that I am actually spray painting in this Rust-Oleum gold color. Typically I don't show you guys this, but I just thought I'd show the process this time because these are going to be super bright and beautiful against the white. So this last coat of paint is now dry, and one of the last things that needs to be done is putting a top coat on to protect this current finish. I am going to be using this Minwax polyacrylic, and I'm using it in the color clear, or the sheen clear satin. I've also used flat and I've used matte, and I really like those as well. But satin will make it a little bit easier for maintenance and cleaning the piece down every couple months or so when it needs to be cleaned down. Satin is much easier to do that, so I am going to be using this. And then I basically am gonna put this on anywhere that has paint. And then once that dries, we can put the hardware on and start wrapping up this project and this one-day flip. We are almost done, so we just gotta finish up. Now, as always, if you made it this far into the video, please make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe if you aren't already yet. It really does help small channels like mine grow, and I'm pretty sure by next week we will be at 5,000 subscribers, which is insane, so thank you guys so much. Now, let's go ahead and get into the final reveal.
Try to make it new. You can't fight it when it feels so true. You drive me crazy like no